All right, good evening. This is the June 18th, 2025 Cottage Grove City Council meeting, which I'm calling to order. I have two things to read at the very beginning here. One is this meeting is being recorded by True Lens Community Media. You can view city meetings live and replay them on cable channel 799. Meetings are also streamed live and archived at the City of Cottage Grove's YouTube channel. So I wanted to mention that real quick for everybody. The other thing I want to do this evening before we get the meeting rolling is, as I think it's only fitting, by the way, that out in the entryway out there, you can see, if everybody were to look behind you, you can see we've got a bunch of police officers here this evening, and we had a very unfortunate event this weekend where there was some shootings of some elected officials within the state of Minnesota. And I thought it would be appropriate, first of all, to thank our officers out there. Some of them may have been out searching for the perpetrator, but also the ones that were making sure that all of us were safe as electeds, because who knew, right? We didn't have a list. But I did want to do a moment of silence, if you would join me in that, for Melissa and Mark Hortman, who obviously lost their lives. She was Speaker of the House. And then John and Yvette Hoffman, who are still recovering, but thank goodness it appears that they're going to successfully recover from the multiple gunshot wounds that they had from this individual. So if you would join me in a moment of silence where we remember these individuals. Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is roll call. Tammy, will you please do the roll? Oh, who's doing it? Oh, I'm sorry. Look I jumped all the way down to the next thing. I'm sorry. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's what I get for changing things up at the beginning, right? Now, Tammy will do the roll call.
Councilmember Clausen?
Here.
Councilmember Olson?
Here.
Councilmember Thiede?
Here.
Councilmember Garza? Here. Mayor Bailey?
Here. Next on our agenda is open forum. This is the opportunity for anybody who wants to speak on something that's not on tonight's agenda is welcome to do so. We did have a sign-up sheet out in the entryway and no one did sign up. So in the case that somebody came in and missed the sign-up, is there anybody that would like to speak during open forum? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close open forum. And council, I'll move to number 5, which is adoption of the agenda.
Move the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Thiede, seconded by Councilmember Garza. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to move to 6, which is presentations. We have 2 this evening, a very special one at the very beginning here. A is the sergeant promotion, swearing in and badge pinning of Officer Matt Sorgaard. And that is why we've got many out there. So if you want to come in, you guys can come in, and council will go down in the front along with Jennifer, our administrator, who will be doing the swearing in. And I'll turn it over to Pete.
All right. Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. This is an exciting night. I apologize. We have a lot of our SWAT people in from our practicals, so there's a lot of sweat. It's a little warm out at our practical tonight, so no one in particular back there. So, but with that, this evening we will formally recognize Matt Sorgaard as we celebrate his promotion to police sergeant. Matt will serve as a frontline leader, directly engaging with our community and modeling our organizational core values of empathy, accountability, trust, and transparency, just to name a few. We're proud to promote Matt to the rank of sergeant. The leadership team supports this decision, and we are confident that his transition in the leadership team will be a valuable addition as we continue to grow and evolve as a progressive and resilient organization. In a moment, City Administrator Jennifer Levitt will administer Matt's oath. Prior to that, I'm going to read a short bio. I had Matt put it together, so bear with me. It's even stapled, Matt, but it's actually the font I had to increase it. So I did kind of ad lib on this, Matt, just to warn you up front. So, but Matt grew up in the area of Maple and Oakdale, but now calls Cottage Grove his home. When I did ask him to do his bio, what I thought was interesting, none of his career things were listed first. He honestly did right away. He was quick to list his wife, Jessie, and his two children, Hadley and Mason, his chocolate lab, Coda, and of course, his canine partner, Odin. I don't know what the list was. It could have been the Coda could have been number one. I don't know, but he did list his whole family as his priority. So Matt did have a life outside of law enforcement before. He worked in the banking industry, so that's where he got a lot of his customer service. He has his bachelor's degree from Metropolitan State University. Started his law enforcement career as a volunteer with the reserve, with the city of North St. Paul. I know that's when I first met you, Matt, when you're hanging out with some of those officers. We hired him 9 years ago already with Cottage Grove. In that time, Matt's been involved in a lot. He was an Explorer advisor, did the compliance checks, both alcohol, tobacco, drug recognition expert, SWAT team member, field training officer, use of force instructor, and his most current role is a canine handler to Odin, and he will still have Odin with him, so there won't be any changes to that. Outside of work, Matt is him and his wife do a lot of running of the kids to sports. He likes to find random projects. I agree, Jesse, those aren't necessary. He just does them to keep busy, right? So, and he has a lot of just excuses to get down to Menards, so that's not bad. But when he's not doing that, he likes to play softball with his friends, golfing, does a lot of yard work, and enjoys training with Odin. So pinning his badge in a moment will be his daughter Hadley with the supervision of his son Mason. So with that, I will turn it over to City Administrator Levitt.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Matthew L. Sorgaard,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota
and of the state of Minnesota
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the position of police sergeant
of the position of police sergeant
for the city of Cottage Grove
for the city of Cottage Grove
in the county of Washington
in the county of Washington
and state of Minnesota
and state of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Yep, and with that, we'll have Hadley come up with Mason. That's what you practice for, right? That was fine.
We need to get a picture.
Yeah, let's have them come on.
You guys want to come up?
The whole family.
Yep, come on.
That was better than any parent.
I know. That was the quickest I've seen.
Yeah, right by the mirror, you guys, right by the mirror. Right by the mirror. Yep.
Anywhere you want.
There you go.
Great job.
Yeah.
Brad, you guys kind of want
Come on down here. You can come down here.
You act like you can't hear me.
Come on in. Come on in.
Yeah, exactly.
Should get rinsed in here too. Yeah, me too, brother. All right, right over here if you will. 3. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Did you want any others with any other?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay. With all that, everybody wants to.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
Got to sign yours.
Oh, yeah, officially.
Yeah.
Try to see you guys smell it.
Yeah.
You're okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Was it?
All right, we'll move on to B, which is, it's that time of year. We don't have to have Dave scream at us now. Strawberry Festival presentation this evening, and our communications manager, Phil Jentz, is gonna walk us through some of the festivities that are gonna be happening as early, if, depending on when you're watching this, as early as tomorrow.
That's correct. Honorable Mayor, council members, good evening. My name is Phil Jentz, the city's communications manager. That's a terribly tough act to follow. I will do my best. I will not succeed, but I will do my best to follow that. As stated, Honorable Mayor, depending on when you're watching this or viewing this, Strawberry Fest does begin tomorrow, which is incredibly exciting. But first and foremost, I do want to thank the Strawberry Fest Volunteer Committee. Untold hours of volunteer time goes into this incredible event, and we are thankful for everyone's contributions. Something like this does not happen on accident. It involves a lot of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of time, many of which from volunteers. So just want to state that and thank them for that. So Strawberry Fest does start tomorrow and runs through Sunday. The main events, very exciting. New this year is the drone show. I believe Councilmember Thiede may have an exciting update on that front. I won't go into details there, but nevertheless, the drone show on Friday night is very exciting. And then the parade is Saturday at 10 a.m. Keep an eye out for our friend, renowned folk artist Eric Dowdle is joining us for Strawberry Fest, and I believe will be joining Mayor Bailey in the parade, which is very
Be riding
exciting.
with me.
The Mega Jump Motivational Experience is on Saturday from noon to 3. As I understand it, a high-energy mobile jump show, which, if the pictures do it any justice, looks very fun to look at. And then, of course, the fireworks on Saturday evening at 10:30 p.m. Carnival will be open Thursday through Sunday. And then, of course, the Strawberry Fest buttons are for sale. They are $5 each, and I'm to understand there's a lot of really great prizes this year. The drawing will take place on June 23rd, following the coronation, and I'm told that you do not need to be present to win that drawing. Buttons are for sale at the Cottage Grove Public Safety Department, Old National Bank in St. Paul Park, and from one of the 11 ambassador candidates. Any event with live music is A-OK in my book. So bands that are happening at Strawberry Fest throughout the weekend. Basic and Boring will be playing the Family Night on Thursday, and some may remember that band from last year's Food Truck Festival. So we're very excited to bring them back to Cottage Grove. On Friday, we have Double Down from 5 to 7 p.m. Closing it out on Friday night is Rough House. And then on Saturday, Jonah and the Whales and Them Pesky Kids, closing things out on Saturday night. Other events, I won't read them all, but you see them before you. Very fun and great stuff happening throughout the rest of the festival. The long list of ongoing events has everything from a car and pet show to demonstrations from our very own public safety staff, just to name a couple. The full list of events is at cottagegrovestrawberryfest.com/events. And then last, and certainly not least, I would be remiss not to talk about Discover Cottage Grove. DCG will have a booth at the Strawberry Fields Marketplace this year. And as I mentioned, renowned folk artist Eric Dowdle, we launched a Bring a Friend campaign for Strawberry Fest this year, just to encourage people who maybe haven't been to Strawberry Fest in a long time, people who live here who have some friends who want to come in from out of town to enjoy the festivities. So why not bring our own friend? So we decided to bring Eric Dowdle back for Saturday. So Saturday, June 21st, he'll be there to sell puzzles, sign puzzles, take selfies, and meet folks at our booth. As I mentioned also, he's going to be in the parade on Saturday. And then we'll be showcasing all of our 115 coloring contest submissions. Myself and our staff put together the coloring contest for Strawberry Fest this year, and I would have been happy with 30, 40, or 50 submissions, and we got 115, almost all of which happened on the last day of the submission, which is pretty wild and fun. And so all of those will be on display in a binder, and 4 of the finalists / call them winners will also be prominently displayed there with Eric Dowdle. And then we'll be giving away freebies for folks who come by the Discover Cottage Grove booth. We'll have drawstring backpacks, visitor guides, Discover Cottage Grove beach balls, cups, and a flyer for the upcoming food festival. That's all I've got. Councilmember Thiede, I don't know if I stole your thunder, so
I figured you would. Go ahead.
if I missed anything, please by all means, fill in the blanks.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm just going to enhance some of the things that you said. One of the things as you had positioned in terms of the drone show, we got the whole design. They take that, they make this whole design, kind of the CAD system, and you got it on the screen and so forth. And we found out it was going to be a 100 drone show, okay? But we found out that they went ahead and it's going to be 200 drones. So that is at 10:30 on Saturday night. So if you got to take a nap, take a nap. But, so you can stay up and watch this because it's going to be really neat. And some of the other things I'll mention is, buttons. I forgot to wear mine tonight, but Mayor has his on. And one of the new things we're doing this year is that different food vendors are giving discounts if you have your button. So people go out and get your button, and you also, as as was shown, that there's a lot of different prizes in that with the button raffle and such. So that's fantastic. The Strawberry Fest, Strawberry Fields Marketplace, again, this year we had to start turning people away because we'd gotten to about 110 booths, and we just have so much room that we can have them use out there. So it's going to be fantastic. We had I was very involved in that when we 15 years ago and everything and so forth, and it's actually just blossomed. We, instead of calling it just a business expo, we changed it to Strawberry Fields Marketplace to really try to get it to be more of a craft thing and things like that, besides other informational booths and so forth, and that's been fantastic. Also, again, on Saturday night is the fireworks at 10:30. So if you got to take a nap, take a nap. But be out there for the fireworks. It looks like the weather is going to be good, but it's going to be hot and muggy. So make sure you bring enough water to hydrate and everything else. But it's going to be a fantastic time. Let's see, what else was I going to mention? Oh, and tomorrow is actually the family night and so forth. And so there's other attractions and activities, really kind of focused on families. We've got the tractor, the pedal tractor pullback, which is always something that the kids really like. And, we've got woodshop crafts where you can come out there and the Lions Club will help you actually make a birdhouse and so forth. So that's going to be a lots of fun. And food vendors, we had to turn away food vendors too because we had filled up. So the parking lot's going to be full of food vendors. And what more can I say? It's just going to be a fantastic time. So be there, be square, that's for sure.
There you go. And the only other, I will say one more thing, just because that was pretty awesome. I don't know if the public is aware, but we have our ambassador program here in
Right.
Cottage Grove, right?
Good point.
And there's a lot of communities, unfortunately, that their ambassador programs are going away or being suspended because there's nobody actually wanting to come out for those particular events. One that I heard of recently is Red Wing. Is not going to have an ambassador or a program where they represent the city. And I didn't remember the final number. What was the final number of people that we have this year? 11. So we have 11 people vying for, to represent Cottage Grove over the next year. And two,
male and female.
and 2 young men this year for the first time, which is pretty amazing. So got a chance to meet them this last week during the kickoff dinner and auction that they did, which was absolutely fantastic. So I think we've been well represented this past year by the current ambassadors. We're going to be, whoever gets it, I can tell you, we're going to be very well represented as a community in the future. So
And they're all selling buttons right now.
yeah,
so
they're
if
all
you
out
need a
selling
button,
buttons. So if you need a button for the
That's where you
stuff,
get
go
'em.
ahead and get them.
Button, who's got the button?
There we go. There we go. All right, anything else? Good?
Good.
All right, thank you, Phil, for sharing that. And I just say, get out there, enjoy this great weekend. It's all about Cottage Grove. Bring a friend and come up to me, say hi when you're there, or one of the council members. We'd love to chat. Okay. Next on our agenda is consent, which is number 7. Is there anything council would like to pull on consent? Councilmember
R, please.
Olson? Okay, R. Anything else? All right, so then I guess I'll kick it right to you, Councilmember Olson. R is a planning commission appointment.
That's correct. We did have a opening on the Cottage Grove Planning Commission. As many of you know, we have several volunteer advisory commissions to the city council that are staffed by volunteers from the community who want to give back and provide advice to us as a council, whether it's about parks and recreation, historic preservation, planning, public services, and so on. It just so happens this year, I am the liaison to the Planning Commission, and we did have an opportunity for a new member to potentially join. So I did interviews with 2 very, very good candidates this last week. And I want to thank John Stechmann and Casey Thompson for putting their names forward as potential planning commissioners. It was a tough decision, but I did select John Stechmann for this appointment, and I would just ask that my council colleagues take that under advisement. John has been a longtime resident of the city of Cottage Grove. He has a lot of good experience working with cities because he does work for the city of St. Paul as an attorney as well. So he's kind of seen the world from both sides as a resident and somebody who works for a community. Very level-headed guy, very knowledgeable about the things that we've got going on in the community, and he's definitely got his finger on the pulse. So I would ask for your consideration to appoint John to the open planning commission slot. And certainly, we're going to continue to work with Casey to find a good spot for him too, because both interviews were just wonderful. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Fantastic, all right. Since no other items were pulled off consent, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve consent?
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Clausen. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. So if you're watching or here for anything that's on tonight's consent agenda, they have all been approved. Number 8 is approved disbursement. 8A is to pay the bills.
I move to pay the bills.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion by Councilmember Garza, seconded by Councilmember Thiede. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Number 9 is a public hearing, which we actually have one this evening. A is the Mississippi Landing First Edition easement vacation. And Emily Schmitz, our Community Development Director, is going to walk us through this fairly simple one.
Right. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Yeah, simple easement vacation. Typically with our developments where we have several different additions, there's always an outlot that's platted that is, for lack of a better way to put it, held for that next addition when those lots are platted over that. So Mississippi Landing First Edition was approved by you, Council, back in 2024, May 1st of 2024. And now you have seen the second edition come before you, which you approved in April 2nd, 2025. However, a D&U easement exists over Outlot I, which is a part of the Phase 2 of the Mississippi Landing. In order to record those lots over that outlot, we do need to vacate that drainage and utility easement that allowed us to have access, if we needed it, to potential utilities or stormwater before those lots would have been platted. So, in an effort to allow that developer to record that plat, This evening, the recommendation is to hold that public hearing and vacate that drainage and utility easement that is existing over Outlot I. I will stand for any questions if you do have them.
Any questions, council, on this one?
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. All right, I will go ahead and be official. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And council, you can see number 2 on the screen if you want to, whoever wants to take it.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2025-088, vacating, rescinding, terminating, and releasing certain easements over Outlot I in Mississippi Landing, First Edition.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Clausen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thiede. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Emily. Next is 10 is bid awards. We do have a couple this evening. The first one is A is the Intermediate Zone Water Treatment Plant Bid Award, and Ryan Burfine, our Public Works Director, is going to take us on this one.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So tonight, first we have the Intermediate Zone Water Treatment Plant Bid Award. We took bids on this a few weeks ago. This was a big day for the city. We've been working on this plant, I mean, really at some level since 2017 when the first kind of PFAS situation really boiled up in Cottage Grove. We started looking at concept planning, long-term planning on how to address this issue. And through the entire conceptual drinking water supply plan from 2018 to 2021, we were working with the state on this and then going all the way through design. So this is almost 8 years in the making from lots of staff at the city. So it was a big effort and very exciting to take bids. In terms of the bid results, so we had really good bidding on the project. You can see all 3 bids are underneath our engineer's estimate. I will say these are interesting projects to look at and try to estimate. There is no one single plant that's going to match it. The processes are similar to our low zone treatment plant, but it's different. It's different in how it's going to treat the water and do its work. So we hired our designer to do a really good, very thorough estimate. Obviously, the market's very volatile right now with tariffs and such. So there was a little bit of unknowns, and that's why our estimate was as you saw it. I think we were also helped by there was a third bidder that came into the process pretty late due to some changes in a different large treatment plant project that didn't move ahead in a different community. So also we had an additional bidder who was very hungry for work that I think made everyone else sharpen their pencils a little bit as well. So I will say the low bidder, Rice Lake Construction Group, they did do the low zone treatment plant. They also did several of our temporary treatment plants. So we've had very good luck with them, and they have a long track record of delivering projects like this. So no concerns with their performance or working on this project. And with that, the recommendation's in front of you, and I will stand for questions.
Council, any questions? Council, any questions on this one? All right, glad to see. Well, and the bids obviously is going to benefit the settlement money, obviously, for other cities. So it's very, very, quite amazing to see that it came in as low as it did versus the estimates from the engineer. So, all right, with that, who would like to take the motion in a second on the screen?
Mayor, I'll move to adopt Resolution 2025-084, awarding the Intermediate Zone Water Treatment Plant project for the base bid and alternate one to Rice Lake Construction Group in the total amount of a big number, right? $90,135,600.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Garza. All those in favor at this point signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then B is another bid award, which is the 2025 sewer lining bid award. And Ryan, you're taking this one too?
That is correct. So for this project, Mayor and Council, we took bids last week. And this project is lining of a sewer that runs roughly from the intersection of Inwood Avenue and East Point Douglas Road. And then through that commercial area, it actually goes through a city-controlled easement, a pretty large one, 50 feet wide, following their roadway down south to where the northern Jamaica roundabout is, under Jamaica Avenue, and then underneath Highway 61, ending in the dog park. So very critical piece of infrastructure. It's an 18-inch concrete pipe. It's actually, basically original to the city when we started having sewer. So it's very old. And we identified this as a key item several years ago to do a sewer lining. It really puts a whole new pipe inside of that concrete pipe. We couldn't do it with the Jamaica and East Point Douglas project for a variety of reasons. Those impacts would not correlate, so we had to do it after. And it's actually a project where typically you'd try to televise this pipe first to see the condition. The costs are so, most of this cost is bypass pumping this pipe. So it made no sense to do that work to see, is it fine? Can it get 10 more years? I mean, we have a pipe that's, approaching 60, 70 years old. So we're going to do that work, and it'll have a whole new life cycle for that pipe. So that's why we're doing it all in one shot, the bypass pumping and installing it. You can see the bids came in well. Two bidders, and the low bidder was just under engineer's estimate. So we're happy with that. Overall, I should mention, it's not a very impactful project. That's why we were okay with doing it after last year's, or the 2 years worth of projects. It's really all underground work. The main thing is our access point for the manhole is in the driveway between Merchants Bank and Subway. So we do have to close that driveway access for about, 3 weeks or so while the project's done. But we have the legal right to do that. We have worked with all the property owners. We notified them of what's going to happen. That'll probably be late August, into this fall when they'll do the work. And there's 2 other ways into that development commercial area, right? So there's really no major impacts. Everything else will be a variety of kind of drive over ramps and things like that. So it's pretty interesting where you actually see an 18-inch pipe on the ground that temporarily bypasses this work. And then we'll actually be directionally drilling it underneath the roundabout. So we obviously didn't want to close the Jamaica roundabout to bypass pump sewage across it. So we're actually putting a temporary pipe underground. So it's a complicated project, but our team did a really good job of putting it together. So I don't usually go into that level of detail, but I just want you to see it's so short and so quick, but it was a challenging project to design. So we're excited to get it done. And with that, the recommendation's in front of you, and I'll stand for questions.
All right, Council, any questions for Ryan on this
I have
one?
one.
Yes,
So there's gonna-
Councilmember Clausen.
Thank you. There's going to be a temporary pipe on top of the ground or underground?
That's a good question, Councilmember Clausen, Mayor Bailey. So that it is above ground for the most part, and it is standard. It sounds a little frightening, but it's a fused pipe. It's all one solid pipe. Other than where we cross driveway aprons, it actually converts into a drive over ramp. It's pretty interesting technology. The only place it'll be underground is under the roundabout. So we're actually going to put in like a bigger carrier pipe under the roundabout. You'll see them dig pits on both sides and push that under the roundabout to carry it underground just right there.
Yeah, I've seen those before, and I just want everybody to know it's going to look ominous. It's going to look weird for a while, but it's needed.
All
Thank
part
you.
of the plan.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
It's necessary.
All right, anything else? All right, Council, we have a motion before you, if one of you would like to take it.
Sure. Mayor, I will adopt resolution, or propose to adopt resolution 2025-089, awarding the 2025 sewer lining project to Hydro Clean LLC in the total amount of $779,748.90.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Garza. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Thiede. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. All right, we'll move on then to our regular agenda. We have 2 items on the regular agenda. The first one is a tobacco THC compliance check violation. And I believe our Sergeant Mike McCormick is going to open this one up for us. And are you guys here for this? No? Okay.
I don't believe they're present.
Okay, I just want to make sure if I needed to recognize somebody.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity here to tell you a little bit about our program and as far as the procedure and what happened with this particular event. As you know, our city does 2 compliance checks, both with alcohol and tobacco. And with the new laws governing THC, we've also incorporated that into our tobacco checks. Obviously, you're aware we believe hiring, training, and supervising responsible staff is essential in keeping compliance as well as regulating tobacco and THC. On May 21st was one of the nights that we did the compliance, and this night was tobacco. We used an underage buyer, and in the next slide, I'll kind of cover the process and how he came across with our buyer and whatnot. On this evening, no, there was one violation, and that was High North Dispensary at 8711 East Point. It should be noted, this is their second violation in 24 months. As I mentioned, our decoys are given instructions. And this is something that we've always done. This is best practice. This is what county does, and this is what other agencies do that do compliance checks. So they arrive at the PD. They're not allowed to change their appearance, so we want them to look like the picture on their driver's license as much as possible. We also take the picture right before the compliance, just so they say, well, they threw a hat on or it's not somebody we recognized. They're instructed that if asked, they are to state their real age. At no time are they allowed to be deceitful. They have to be truthful. Our goal with our compliance checks has always been education more than anything else. They're instructed to provide their Minnesota State issued identification card or picture driver's license and make sure that it has their true identity and date of birth on it. We also make sure that we have that on file should something like this come up. They're provided with a monetary note. In this case, it was a $20 bill. Prior to that being given to our decoy, the officers also take pictures front and back to make sure that the serial number lines up with that monetary unit. This is a few years old now, but it's really easy now to tell the difference between a under 21 and over 21 Minnesota driver's license. So everybody in this room has them this way, but if you turn it up on the side so the long end is facing up, you'll notice that that's the under 21. It's also in big red letters right under the picture. It says under 21, and then it'll have their birth date right there. So it's anybody in the state is instructed and trained on how to look for those things, and I believe they have to sign off on their training to be a business here in the city as well. So this is the actual incident that took place on May 21st. So our decoy was a 17-year-old male, had followed all the instructions that we had asked. They had first met with officers and then proceeded to go in the store and ask for Zyn pouches. ZYN, those are tobacco, so they look like they come in like a can of chew or a tin of chew, but if you open it up, they have little white packets that just contain tobacco. Our decoy asked if they had those Zyn pouches, and they were told that they do not. However, the employee said that he couldn't sell them that because they don't have them, but he's offered to sell them THC gummies instead. The employee did ask for the driver's license, looked at it and handed it back. And again, that was an under 21 driver's license. The interesting part, which our decoy had a $20 bill and the total cost was $20.67, and the clerk was really nice and said, "I'll cover the rest," and handed it to him, and out the door he went. Officers did meet with him, the employee. He did admit to the sale and looked at the wrong date of the identification. I don't know if they delved more into that, but that's was the response from the employee. He was advised that he would be receiving criminal charges. And I can tell you that I emailed directly to the owner, the actual letter inviting him to the council meeting. Did not receive any emails or phone calls in response. And then I also had that hand delivered to the business the following day as well. So I wanted to point that part out, but you have the recommendations in front of you, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I'll start with Councilmember Olson, and I'll go to Councilmember Clausen. Oh, Councilmember Clausen?
Thank you. Sergeant, I just wanted to ask, was that the only violation that night you were doing was with this business? That's right?
Correct. I believe that was one of 14 businesses that were checked, and that was the loan failure.
Okay. And I just thought it's interesting that the employee tried to, well, for lack of a better word, upsell the product that they did not have to move on to something else. It just was interesting to me. Thank you. That's all.
Councilmember Olson?
Thank you. Sergeant McCormick, a couple things. First of all, thanks for the presentation and going into the detail that you did with regard to the process that's in place. I want to make sure I understand. When our decoy goes to these businesses and attempts to make an underage purchase, they're traveling with a licensed police officer, correct?
Correct.
And if the sale is made, as it was in this situation, there's an immediate response by the licensed police officer to say, hey, look, this was a compliance check and you didn't make it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So there would be no reason why somebody from the business would not be made aware virtually immediately that they, had a compliance check that they failed. And then you followed up with an email, and then you also had a document delivered to the business.
Correct.
And they're not here. I find that very disappointing.
Yeah.
Especially since it's their second violation in a 24-month period. So I see that the resolution, that we're looking at recommends imposing the scheduled penalty for this, which is, a $1,000 fine plus a 3-day suspension. That 3-day suspension, do we have purview over when that 3 days is? Do they get to choose? Do we get to choose? How does that work?
Guess I'm not sure how that process goes.
Your Honor, members of the council, the way the resolution is worded, it is in coordination with the police chief.
Okay.
So they will probably ask for specific days, and the police chief will review that, and if it's appropriate,
Sure.
then it has to be mutual agreement.
It has to be a mutual agreement.
Well, it has to be approved by the chief, so technically, we have the say.
Okay. The reason I asked the question is, I might feel differently if, the business operator was here to explain, this is what occurred, this is what we've done to try to mitigate this from ever happening again, et cetera. But the fact that they chose not to do that makes me feel as though perhaps they haven't taken it as seriously as they need to. And so I would encourage, if we're going to look at a 3-day suspension, that we try to determine a 3-day period where perhaps that'll send the message that they need to take this a little more seriously. I know we've done that in the past with failed alcohol compliance checks. And, you take a look at a weekend as an example, that's a pretty prime selling period. You take that opportunity away for those 3 days, and I think it gets the message across. And interestingly, the business that we've done that to in the past hasn't had an issue since. It's funny how that works. So I would just encourage our police department and our public safety director to take that under advisement. That's all I had. Thanks very much.
Yeah, Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me, I as well find it pretty interesting that they upselled another product, and in addition to covering the cost. So I know we haven't heard back from that business yet, but I think May 21st, we're about a month in, and I'm really intrigued to find out what they really did with that employee, because I almost feel as if, did he pocket the $20? So I would love to know, or will we follow up again with the business just to find out?
Typically, we won't, but we certainly could. I know that $20 bill was returned to the officers that night, but I don't know what the intent was.
Then do
at the
they have a
time.
receipt? Do they ring them out with a receipt?
Yeah.
They did, okay.
Yep.
Just wondered. Thank you, though.
And it's, the conversation with the clerk was also filmed via body cam with the officers once they made contact with him as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, Councilmember
I'll just
Deedy.
mention too, I agree with Councilmember Olson in terms of, it'd be totally different if somebody had taken it seriously and was actually here to kind of explain. So,
Agreed.
I don't know if I can ask, I don't know if it's going to be for Mike or Corey, if you can know this. So this is the second violation, a 24-month period with 1,000 and 3-day suspension. Should it happen again and it becomes the third, do you remember what the next?
Your Honor, I believe it's a 10-day suspension. I
That's-
don't remember what the fine amount was. And I just for the record, I wanted to note, as the sergeant mentioned, we tend or try to educate with these compliance checks. And with their first violation, although they were given notice of it, we didn't actually bring it forward for a penalty. So
Right.
So there was no penalty imposed with their first violation.
And that's been somewhat typical for whether it's
Right.
tobacco or alcohol. So, okay. I just was curious because I thought it was 10 days, but yeah, I guess, okay, we'll leave it at that. So council, they're obviously not here, so number one is a mute subject. We don't need to do anything with one.
Mayor, I'll move to approve Resolution 2025-093, imposing the scheduled penalty for the second violation in a 24-month period of a $1,000 fine plus a 3-day suspension.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Olson, second by Councilmember Thiede. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. And I'll say congratulations to all those other businesses that successfully, yes, very happy that they, yes, sometimes we don't get to recognize the good ones, so we want to do that, so. All right, next on our regular agenda, which is B, is Real Estate Equities, Comprehensive Plan Amendment, Rezoning, and Site Plan Review. And our senior planner, Samantha, and is Perrier?
Purett, yes.
Pierrot, okay. She is going, I want to make sure I get your name right, you know, that's just me. But is going to take us through this project.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's what our gentlemen in the back are for? Thank you. All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, it is my privilege to bring to you the Real Estate Equities Project for a comprehensive plan amendment, rezoning and site plan, as the mayor mentioned, for a 164-unit affordable apartment building in the Preserve at Prairie Dunes plat at the Hamlet Avenue, Hadley Avenue, and 100th Street X there. The property is currently guided as medium-density residential in the 2040 comprehensive plan, and it is proposed to re-guide the property to high-density residential using units from the former driving range at Mississippi Dunes Golf Course. The DNR purchased the former driving range in 2024, and that area thereby will be preserved from development. And the driving range was guided as medium-density residential in our 2040 plan. So to increase density on this real estate equities property, some of that density proposed to be allocated is proposed to be transferred to the real estate equities property and the DNR property to be guided parks and open space in our 2050 plan when we adopt that. It's also of note that the Metropolitan Council is also required to review and approve comprehensive plan amendments. However, our sector representative has verified this will be done administratively by the Met Council. As mentioned before, the property is currently zoned Ag 2, and a rezoning is also requested to rezone it to R6 high-density residential in conformance with that comprehensive plan amendment that's requested. So Real Estate Equities is proposing a 164-unit affordable rate apartment building that will meet or exceed all of the city's standards. It would be under the maximum height at 47 feet, 10 3/4 inches, where the maximum height is 55 feet. All of our city setbacks, site coverage maximums, and parking requirements will be met or exceeded as mentioned. The property would be accessed off of Hamlet Avenue, and the developer will be responsible for reconstructing Hamlet Avenue into a urban street section. Currently, it's a rural section of street. There is an existing southbound turn lane from Hadley onto Hamlet, and the right-of-ways here are wide enough to accommodate any future expansion that may be needed. However, it's not anticipated to be needed at this time. Also, pedestrian connections, some trail corridors were put in with the Hadley and 100th Street realignment. This project will add an 8-foot wide bituminous trail on the north side of Hamlet Avenue to facilitate a pedestrian connection from the apartment building to those trails on Hamlet and 100th, as well as pedestrian connections running along 100th Street. And there will also be an internal sidewalk system there that contributes to a connection point there as well. Landscaping and tree mitigation, the applicants have proposed to meet all of our landscaping and tree mitigation standards. And they have also proposed to meet all of our architectural standards with at least 65% Class 1 or 2 materials. And they have already provided a material board to staff, which has been acceptable. All right, so the recommendation, there are 4 separate action items for the council to consider tonight. Those are on the screen. I'll just also note the 4th one is supporting that local affordable housing aid dollars for the project as they go to state bonding, hopefully in July. And so members or representatives from Real Estate Equities are also here tonight if you should have any questions.
All right, thank you, Samantha. Does council, first of all, have any questions for Samantha? Yes, Councilmember Vitti?
Explain 4 again, refresh my memory. What aid, is that coming from the city or what?
You talk about the housing aid?
Yeah, the local affordable housing aid.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Councilmember Thiede, members of the council, great question. The local affordable housing aid, or we call LAHA, the state implemented that back in October of 2023. 0.25% of sales tax is dedicated to that in the metro, and so we get funds. We received our first amount back in 2024, and so this project is a good use of those funds. In the past, we would have done a TIF district for housing, and it would have been on our books for 25 years. And so with these LAHA funds, we can dedicate 3 years of these funds to get this project up and going.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for staff at this point?
I have one.
Oh, yeah, Councilmember Clausen.
It's probably for Samantha, thank you. There was some concern about the views from the neighbors on Hamlet. It was at one of the planning commission meetings. The berms and the trees that are on the north side of the new 100th and Hamlet Avenue, those are all going to remain. Those aren't going to be taken down at all, from what I understand.
Correct. So there are some existing trees on the site, some existing pine trees. If you drive by today, those will be, all of those will be removed.
On the south side of Hamlet will be removed.
Correct. However, the existing, I'll call them townhouses or condos across the street, they have some very nice screening. Staff drove by and checked that as well. And then as you see on the screen as well, they will be providing some landscaping where they're able to fit it in here near that proposed garage entrance and exit point there. So on the south side of Hamlet Avenue.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that the screening on the north side of Hamlet or 100th is going to stay there for them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else?
Actually, I have one more
Yeah,
question.
Councilmember Thiede?
Yeah, so the other day, I kind of came around Hadley and kind of going through there and it turns out Hunter Street is, let's see, what's the speed limit going to be on that? What's the speed limit on Hamlet, or on Hunter's?
55. On Hamlet, you talked?
Or no, on the Hunter Street.
So Mayor, members of the council, so it's 50 miles an hour until you get to the curve, and at the curve, it reduces to 40. It stays 40 all the way down the hill, down to Great Cloud Trail.
All right, so the one thing that because it's not a four-way stop, it's only a stop for Hamlet, and again, it's like, I'm just thinking with the curve and everything, and people, if they're already going, I don't know how many are gonna slow down for the curve, even though they see the sign, but if there was a stop sign there, and I know it's a county road, so that's gonna make that more difficult. But just a little red flag, kind of with the consideration also that those buildings, there's gonna be 2 of them, and maybe another one, we don't know for sure, that are gonna be relatively tall. And just in terms of sight lines and safety and just wanting to make sure that and I know we're good at that, we're probably taking all that into consideration, but, just to kind of make some mention of it or something like that, or.
Yep, Mayor and members of the council, I can maybe speak to a few points on that real quickly. So in terms of the side stop control, once you do an always stop, that's actually considered a form of full intersection control. And then there's standards we have to meet. It is still a city road, even though it's a future county road. It is our roadway today, so we govern it. But we do really look to those MnDOT standards before you put in an always stop. That roadway with the 180-foot right-of-way and then the setbacks, it is fully designed to make sure we have the sight lines in excess of that 40 miles an hour. But it's certainly something we're always going to continue to watch and look at. We want to make sure we have safe corridors for people to drive on. So no concerns at this time with, this building and such, but it's something we'll always continue to look at as we get more development in the area.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Ren. Would you guys like to speak at all on this subject or on the project? Anything you'd like to share, or?
You don't need to.
You don't
but
have to
you'd
if you
like
don't want
you
to.
can.
Well, does council have any questions for the developer at all?
I don't.
No, I'm
I
good,
think-
actually.
I think you're going to get off on this one. You don't have to come up. So,
Mayor, I'd like to move resolution number 2025-082, approving an amendment to the 2040 comprehensive plan to re-guide a 4.7 acre parcel from medium-density residential to high-density residential, and authorize staff to submit the amendment to the Met Council.
all right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Clausen. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who would like to do
I
number
will
two?
go ahead and move, look for a motion, or move ordinance number 1101, approving a zoning amendment to change the zoning of the 4.7 acres from Ag 2 agricultural to R6 high-density residential, contingent on the Metropolitan Council's approval of the associated comprehensive plan amendment.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Thiede. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Garza. Again, any questions on this one or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who would like to do three?
All right, I'll take resolution number 2025-083, approving the site plan review for a 164-unit, 4-story, affordable rate, multifamily apartment building on an approximate 4.7 acre parcel located on the north side of the 100th Street and Hadley Avenue intersection.
All right, so I have a motion by
Second.
Councilmember Garza, and it was seconded by Councilmember Thiede. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Mr. Clausen, do you
I'll
want
take the
to?
last one.
Yeah, there you go.
Move resolution number 2025-092, supporting local affordable housing aid.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Clausen, second by Councilmember Olson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And you didn't even have to talk.
You have to talk
Isn't that
and
nice? Yeah.
keep your fingers crossed for the money, but it should be good. Looking forward to it. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're down to council comments request. I will start with Councilmember Clausen.
I have none tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, sounds good. Councilmember Olson?
Mayor, I'll just take a moment to, first of all, thank all of the hundreds of state, federal, local law enforcement personnel who spent their Father's Day weekend in pursuit of a suspect in the brutal killings of Mark Hortman and his wife Melissa, and the shootings of John and Yvette Hoffman. A lot of those folks worked really long days, and I know we even had some local members of our law enforcement community who were staged up to help out with different things. There were several SWAT teams that were out working really hard to apprehend this person, and thankfully they were able to do so without incident before the weekend was out, which was a really nice outcome to a very tragic situation. That individual is now in custody, and I'm sure the courts will do their work. But thank you to all of the law enforcement folks, first responders, all the support staff who took the time to do that. I also want to say, one of the things that really impacted me personally as I was, got that first phone call at 5 a.m. on Saturday from a friend saying, "Hey, are you watching the news?" No, I'm in bed. You need to watch the news. As a country, as a state, as a community, it's important to remember that the things that you say have consequences. I know that, one of the very founding principles of our Constitution is free speech. And I support that with every fiber of my being. But there's also a part of life where you can say, yeah, I could do that, but should I? And I think that's where discipline and maturity and those kinds of things come in. We live in a time when people have so much access to social media and other forms of speech and communication that sometimes they take it for granted. And I'm going to speak for myself only. As a local elected official, it stuns me sometimes how the same people have a negative comment about virtually anything we do as a city or as a body. And while they're entitled to their opinions and they're entitled to make whatever comments they want, I think there's a time to consider, is this helpful? Does this advance whatever argument I'm trying to make? Is this the appropriate venue to maybe say some of those things? What I find to be true oftentimes is people will put things out into their social media profiles or whatever the case might be. And then when you actually take the time to give them a phone call and say, hey, I saw your note, wanted to talk to you about that, the tone changes pretty quickly. We need to understand that elected officials, public officials in any way, shape, or form, whether it's city staff, what have you, we're all people. We all have jobs and we all have kids and we all have hopes and dreams. And I know that this body works very hard to remain dispassionate and neutral. We don't engage very often on social media. And when we do sometimes attempt to engage on social media, where somebody may say something, they're asking a question, and we try to give the information that they're looking for, it can turn into a feeding frenzy of misinformation, negative commentary, what have you, and that's just not the way to do things. That's not. We need to be able to communicate with each other with respect and with dignity, because what happens is, as that negativity proliferates, and we see it at the federal level, we see it all over the place, there's going to be somebody out there who maybe isn't okay in the head, who's going to read what you have to say or perceive what you have to say differently than you intended it. And situations like what occurred over the weekend could be the end result. So I just want to caution folks to take a beat. Maybe wait a second before you type whatever it is you're going to type into your Facebook or your Twitter or you name it. There's probably 17 other ones I don't even know about. You got your various neighbor pages and all those kinds of things. If you really, truly are curious and you want to know about how come you did something, how come this decision was made, just ask. We're happy to tell you. We'll sit down and have coffee with you. We'll explain it to the best of our ability. And we may end up walking away agreeing to disagree, but at least we've had a productive dialogue. And I think if we could all do that a little bit better, maybe the world would be a little less dangerous place. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Wilson. Councilmember Thiede?
Yeah, besides, again, I've already talked about Strawberry Fest, so that's, fantastic. It's going to be a great time. I also have, I guess, the movies with Mo, the wild robot, had to be changed because of rain, things like that.
Friday was raining.
So,
Well, you got rained out last year quite a bit, too.
We did, but we
Yeah.
got 4 in still.
Yeah.
So we are
so
crossing our fingers.
Do we
That
blame
was-
Zach
that was
for
just-
that? Yeah, okay.
So I guess that's been rescheduled to Friday, a week, so it's this Friday night.
2 days, yeah.
Yeah, 2 days, but
But it's later, so it starts at 7. But the movie doesn't start until 9:30-ish, so people can enjoy Strawberry Fest first, and then come and watch a movie.
all right. So I guess that is all I have right now.
Okay, sounds good. Councilmember Garza?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I will mention, it sounds like Cottage Grove has some really fun camps that are happening this summer. So if you go to our cottagegroveminnesota.gov, they have a safety camp. We have a safety camp for kids ages 6 to 9, and that's coming up actually this weekend as well. But that's going to be a lot of fun at the Old Cottage Grove Fire Station, and they'll learn a lot, especially surrounding safety. So sign your kids up. It's not too late for that. And then we also have beginning archery camp. That sounds really cool. And that will start in July. So you can check out our website and find more about that. And that will be at the Pine Tree Pond.
That's
Thank
it. Awesome. And since we already talked about Strawberry Fest, I don't have anything else to add this evening, other than I hope to see everybody the next few nights and days over at Strawberry Fest. Just so the public is aware, we do have 2 workshops this evening. The first workshop, which is open to the public, is the National Community Survey Report, which from the POLCO survey that we did earlier this year. Staff's going to provide it to us to review and comment. And then we do have a workshop which is closed to the public, and that is a performance evaluation check-in with our city administrator, Jennifer Levitt. And just so that the public knows, that is a closed meeting pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subsection 3A to conduct a performance evaluation of city administrator Jennifer Levitt. So with that, we won't be adjourning in here. We'll adjourn in the, are we going in the training room first? Yes, okay, training room. Otherwise, everybody have a great weekend at Strawberry Fest.